Hello, gang. Happy lunch hour. So, I bet that title kind of threw you for a loop. Yeah. Uh, and I kind of want to explain this because it's something that we actually do need to think about. And believe it or not, as preppers, we do endorse. And you're going, how the hell? You're nuts, Pinball. Maybe, but let me explain. Think about your MAG. For those of you who don't know what the acronym is for, Mutual Assistance Group. Okay? The community that you are putting together, you already have, or you want to be part of, that just in case, any SHTF event happens, you have other people that you can count on. Perfect. Okay? We all strive to have that. But think about what a MAG is. Okay? A mutual assistance group. Okay? Mutual, meaning everybody, assistance, help, group, self-explanatory. So everybody helps the group. Collectivism, which is kind of what socialism is in the first place. Everybody's equal. Now, let's think about this for a second in regards to a MAG. Everybody, myself included, says that you need to have a MAG. And in that MAG, you would be best served if you had people with medical skills, blacksmithing skills, farming skills, animal husbandry skills, sewing skills, cooking skills, whatever would be. Okay? Why? Because nobody can do all that work by themselves. And so, therefore, you need other people to work with you. Yes, very true. However, here's where the problem comes in. Now, all of a sudden, the person with the medical skills, be they a doctor, a nurse, a whatever, is on the same level as the person in the community, maybe even beneath the person who is responsible for, say, cutting trees and chopping wood. And why do I say beneath? Because usually in a MAG, in an SHTF, the person who's doing the most physical labor will be the one that gets the most calories because they're the ones burning it. Somebody out chopping wood is obviously going to be burning a lot more calories than the person who is treating somebody who's wounded. So therefore, is the woodcutter a more valuable to the community than your medical professional? How is he getting paid more? He's getting more food. So therefore, he could be a more valuable member of the community. Wow, that is kind of contradictory to the world in which we know it. Okay? Does that make the young more valuable than the old? Sure. Somebody who's 20 can chop a whole lot more wood than I can. Okay? Just age gets to you eventually. So does that mean that, a 20-year-old should get fed more than me? Maybe. But this is why I say, do we secretly yearn for communism or for socialism? Now, you think, oh, that's not really what it's all about. Let me give you a couple examples, and you can look this up too. All right, take a look at New Harmony, Indiana, back in 1825. New Harmony, Indiana was a small community. Land was bought by Robert Owen. And the idea was everybody would come live in this community. There was no property ownership, and everybody would work together for the common good of everybody. Whether you were a seamstress, whether you were a dishwasher, whatever it would be. And almost immediately, it failed. Why? Because everybody realized that they were going to get fed or housed or clothed or whatever, regardless of how much or how little work they did. And so instantly you had failure. And within about a year, New Harmony, Indiana collapsed as a community. Okay. And of course, so somebody's going to say, well, gee, that's going back, 200 years. Let's go back to 1971. Okay. Anybody know what Myrtle Hill Farm is? Myrtle Hill Farm in 1971 was a commune, basically the same idea as New Harmony. Okay, everybody would come, work together. This was primarily your white young adults who were disillusioned by the Vietnam War. It was a hippie community, okay, basically. Here's a name that you might recognize. Remember, I told you this was in Vermont. Bernie Sanders went to Myrtle Hill Farm. Bernie Sanders has always been an avowed socialist, communist, however you want to put it. Now, Myrtle Hill had a little rule. They would welcome anybody, and you had 3 days to prove yourself to whether you were going to be allowed to stay or not. Bernie went in and immediately started talking to people, politicizing, okay, running his mouth. Bernie didn't do any work. After 3 days, the commune asked Bernie to leave because he was not a productive member. There is your definition of how a commune where everybody is supposed to be on equal footing will work. It's not possible. Yes, you're going to have a mag. Somebody's going to raise chickens. Somebody's going to raise dairy cows. Somebody's going to be gardening, whatever it would be. Trading, and y'all are going to have to figure out what the value of it is. How many pounds of green beans are worth a dozen eggs? There's going to be value no matter how. It's not going to be the same for everybody. For me, I'm just guessing here. Let's say a pound of green beans is worth a dozen eggs. For you, depending on where you are, maybe eggs are easier, maybe beans are easier. Could be totally different, okay? But that's all going to be determined, okay? You're not, just like the economy is right now. A dozen eggs costs a lot more in New York City than it does in rural Tennessee, okay? Still a dozen eggs. Still comes out of a chicken's butt, all right? So, but they're still eggs. So then the thing comes in to being self-sufficient. I'm going to do everything. And I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. Okay? There's many people that want to tell you, oh, lone wolf. Ain't possible. Period. End of story. Are there 100% self-sufficient people in the world? Sure. Somewhere. Okay? There's the Grizzly Adams somewhere, maybe. But I will tell you this. Absolutely, under no circumstances, 100% are you ever going to be self-sufficient. Period. And I'm going to explain why. All right? You own your land, you own a house, you garden, whatever would be. Great. But self-sufficiency is more along the lines of still being part of a community. What do you have to offer? Because you are going to need something from somebody else. You go back throughout history, and even Neanderthals needed community. Why? Well, Mr. was out hunting and gathering. Mrs. was home in the cave, keeping the fire warm, taking care of the kid, whatever would be, cooking the meal, doing all that, okay? You need some sort of community. And somebody's going to inevitably say, well, I'm self-sufficient now. Really? Okay. So that vehicle that's parked out in your driveway, did you build it? Did you mine the iron ore? Did you create the steel? Did you put the engine together? Oh, well, let's not talk about that far. That shovel that you use for your garden, did you cut the wood? Did you lathe the wood down into a handle? Did you blacksmith the metal into the shape of a spade. Okay, those, you don't want to go that far. Let's go to the shoes you wear. Did you create the rubber soles? Did you make the canvas or make the leather that is on the shoes? Did you spin the cotton to make the shoelaces? Okay. We are not ever going to be self-sufficient. We need community. No question. Okay. Gee, I have an AR-15. I'm good. Did you make it? Okay. Do you even know how to? Could you? Maybe most of us could make a slingshot. And again, that's only if we can find something that's elastic enough that will shoot. All right. Because chances are you're going to do it out of a rubber band or something like that and go from there. All right. If you want to make a cheap bow and arrow out of a branch, but what's going to be your bowstring? Okay. This is what I'm talking about. We all have dreams of grandeur in our mind about being self-sufficient. And it's a good goal. You are going to try to be self-sufficient in something, in food production, in medical, whatever would be, in blacksmithing. And you're going to be the master, the local go-to person for it. But somehow you are still going to have to trade those skills for something else that you are not the master in. And that's where community comes in. But the mag cannot be, gee, I'm doing all the gardening and everybody can eat whatever they want. Because the seamstress, I can't just walk over to that person and say, I need a new pair of jeans. Can I have it tomorrow? Because there's 15 people in front of me going, well, where are my jeans? You're not getting any food until I get my jeans. Now we get into a problem. This becomes important because if you go through history, people need each other. Human beings are social creatures. We need conversation. We need love, whatever would be. But we also need each other because none of us can do it all. It's something to think about when you talk about a mag, or consider who you want to either have join your mag or a mag you want to join. How is the society going to be set up? How is it going to be administered? Is it a free-for-all and everybody's just flat out equal? Or is there still some sort of government in control? As much as so many people say we don't need a government, the world would be so much better if Washington just burned down and just let us all be on our own. It'll never happen. Because even if you have a little tribe in your neighborhood, okay, of a dozen people, somebody somehow still needs to be at the top, and there needs to be rules all along that everybody's going to follow. There are going to be disagreements. In SHTF, there's absolutely going to be arguments. And the last thing you need in your mag is the judge and jury to be the guy who happens to have more ammo. Because in a mag, I want those jeans. I can't have them to you for 2 weeks. Okay, well, you can't have any tomatoes then for 2 weeks. Bang. That's how problems are going to get solved. This is why it's important to think about this stuff ahead of time, guys. Because what we are absolutely against, i.e. socialism, is almost what we are striving for, just on a much smaller scale. Interesting thing to think about, huh? Have a good afternoon. Pinball out.